Hi there, CC team. So today is going to be an interesting video where I'm going to show you how to replace the drive gear on a Federal Light Corporation, or Federal Signal Corporation. I believe this model is the Visibar. But before we can do any of that, you got to get it off the truck. So first off, pretty easy step. Unlatch the band and take your lens off, or the cover. And then this step is optional, but if you want to take off the latch band itself, just simply pick it up, unlatch it even further, and take that off. Now, originally, you might have been in the same spot or are in the same spot if this is a tutorial for you guys. You might have thought to cut the wire. You do not. All you have to do is unbolt the wire from here. I'll show you. All you got to do is take that nut off there, maybe one or two washers, and the wire comes right off. So let's do that. And now, what I like to do is use the lens or the cover as your little personal tray to hold everything, because you do not want to lose these tiny parts. It is very important you keep these. Then you simply slide the wire off, as well as another nut that comes, or another washer that comes with it. Fish it through, and you got it off the truck. Now let's take it somewhere more suitable to work on. So now that we're in a more suitable spot to work on this, on the toolbox of the truck, the 4 little bolts, nuts, or screw bolts type things, are going to be a quarter drive or a quarter socket. Now I must also mention at this stage there is a sprocket for the Visibar that goes around the chain to the other light. This is the sprocket, and as you can see, what's sticking out there is a small roll pin. You'll need a small punch to get that out, or you can drill it out, but then you'll need another roll pin. But once all that's out, simple as pulling that off, and now you can get into the main stuff of it. Once you get into the guts of it, right there and there's 2 snap rings. I think that's what they're called. It's rather simple to get them out. Spray them down with some breakaway if they're a little rusted up in there, and then push them out. The tactic I discovered that I like to use is called use two screwdrivers and don't stab yourself. If the thing will sit still. I'll get back when I get them off. Once you get the snap rings off, then there's these, I don't know the technical term for them, but we'll call them flange nuts that were held in with the snap rings. Now that the whole mechanism is loose, you're almost ready to take it off. Next step is that is a Allen screw And what you'll need is, you'll need a 3/32 Allen key. And I got one for a socket, just in case you need to put a little bit of torque on it. Which, with something this small, you hopefully don't need much of, or else you'll end up breaking the thing. But I got this, so it's faster and easier. You shouldn't have to take it all the way out, just unscrew it until you can move it up and down the light shaft. Which I can almost do, just got to unscrew it a bit more and I'll get back to you. Now, with the Allen screw turned out enough, it should be able to pull the cage down far enough where you can start taking stuff off. Remember the order you took it off in, or else life's gonna suck. Or life's gonna suck because things don't want to go. There we go. Now you shouldn't have to take these two washers off. I'm not, again, because I don't need to, as well as that one flare nut. So we'll leave those on there and move the whole apparatus aside. Now what you'll come across here is the main reason why you'd be replacing it. I already replaced it. That's how I know all about this, doing this right now. But I've got to take it apart because the problem I'm having is the gear is slipping on this piece, which I forgot the technical term for it. Someone in the community will correct me. So I got to take it apart, and I'm going to put some silicone on it to glue it in place, so then the lights actually rotate. So use the patented technique again of not stabbing yourself to get that lock nut off, that washer, and I'll get back to you when I do that myself. Side note, I also just remembered you don't use that technique on this because you don't have anything to grab onto. With this, you set the camera down. You stick the screwdriver in one of these little gaps, and well, two of them. Let me get a smaller screwdriver. Like I was saying, you stick one screwdriver in one gap, another in the other, and you twist. And it pries it right off. Like so. Now, you'll have this flappy washer. I don't know what the technical term for that is either. But when I first got this off, with the original gear, it was kind of stuck on there. And I had a buddy of mine press it off with a wing nut or something. It was a complicated thing. He has an engineering degree. But once he got that off, then you have, hang on, then you have just this. When I originally put the gear on, it snapped right on, it was pretty tight. It's not until I started spinning it that it got loose. So I suggest that you leave it as be and put it back together ASAP. Do not play with it. But since I did and it got smooth, I'm going to put some silicone on and glue it in place. There, might have used a bit too much silicone, but I don't want it slipping. I want it to work for years to come, or at least until the gear wears out. So now, to put it back together, floppy washer, and make sure you get these flat sides down on it, not these edge pieces. I made that mistake and had to tear it all back apart, so it gets maximum traction. And then you put the big snap ring back on, and to do that, you set it in there. You might not be seeing it, because I gotta do it with both hands. You want both the fat sides of the lock nut or snap ring, whatever you want to call it, on the high sides of the washer. I'm making a mess on this other side. Now, from there, you take a decent sized screwdriver, run it up against the edge of the gear, and you just twist. And it should, keyword should, press your snap ring. Dang it. Well, you wedge the screwdriver there and against your snap ring. I know there's another name for this, I can't think of it at the moment. And then it pushes against it and pushes it in. So I'll get back to you when I do that myself. For the next step, you want to bring your cage back over, slide it down just enough where you can get things back in there. In this order, you want the flare nut, the fat washer, your gear assembly, stick the gear assembly on, next you put the bottom flare nut on, facing downwards like that towards the bottom of the shaft, and slide your cage up. Now start at whatever one you want, wiggle the cage around so the flare nut sits in the hole. There we go. Turn my light back on. It's getting kind of dark, so need some light. And you pop your snap ring back in. And don't stab yourself, like I almost just did. Give her a few good old taps home. There we go. Now slide your cage all the way up. Slide the gear assembly down as well as your washer. Bring the other flare nut up. There we go. Now you gotta make sure it's tight up there so you can get to the groove that the snap ring goes in. Oh, also there's another smaller washer that your snap ring goes in front of. At least I believe so. I am no professional at this. Alright, I guess that one is not going home. Slip your snap ring in. Dang it. Anyway, get this snap ring in, and I'll move on to the next step. Now at this stage, also might be hard to see because of the shadows and everything, you want to make sure the hole for your Allen screw is lined up with the screw itself. I wouldn't blame you if it's actually easier just to take the screw out and line it up that way, but you can kind of go by feel. And as you go down in there, should be able to stop moving it. There we go, and it's home. Now, just a little something I'm going to do is just tighten a little bit down with the ratchet. Now, with that all together, flip it up. Put the shell on, or the base on. Well, you put your base on, run the screw bolts in there, and stick your gear on the end, tap your roll pin through, and then you're ready to put it back on. If anyone's wondering how you get the chain off, which there is one that runs through there, you use a little pick or something, and you get that chain off, and then you're all good to go. So, I don't know how well you can see me. That is how you change out the drive gear in a Federal Lights Corporation Visibar. So, if you enjoyed the video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and share, and see you in the next one.